Welcome back to Living Local. The Black Box Theater in Moline, Illinois is gearing up to present the area premiere of Tony Award-winning musical Fun Home, a deeply emotional and thought-provoking piece based on Alison Bechdel's graphic memoir. And joining us today to discuss this incredible production are Sydney Richardson, who plays adult Alison, and Bradley Robert Jensen, the director of the show. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Thanks so much for having us.
So Bradley, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about Fun Home and why it was such a standout for you to direct.
Yeah, so Fun Home is the musical adaptation of the autobiographical graphic novel that Alison Bechdel wrote about her sort of relationship with her father as that related to her queerness. And I discovered it within the first year that it came out in 2015. I really identified with it. I've loved it since then and was just so excited that the Black Box was producing it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. I think we all were like, yeah, we'll do it immediately.
Move mountains to make it happen.
Honestly. Sydney, what was it about, the role that, was so captivating to you, and how did you approach that?
I think just the way it's written in general, where you have three characters playing this, like three people playing the same character, that's captivating in general because you get to see them at 43, you get to see them in their college years, you get to see them as a child. And I think it's neat. You have to do a lot of like deep diving for your character most of the time, but I get to see the younger self on stage. So a lot of my character building and how I got to do that was just watching the other two and how they got the role for them.
Yeah, and that must be a trippy thing too.
It is.
And it's the kind of material I have found, and because full disclosure, I'm in the show, should have mentioned that, the material just, it affects you. You don't have to really work too hard to get any emotion out of it at all. And the intimacy of the Black Box, Bradley, must be something that really was, appealing for this show and for you, because you're right there with them.
Yeah, absolutely. The original off-Broadway production was done in the round, and I think that intimacy is so important to the show. I think a bit of that was sort of a loss when it was transferred into a proscenium setting, and so I'm so glad that even though we are sort of front on proscenium, we're still 6 feet away from the audience at any given time. And so the intimacy of the Black Box really does help.
Yeah, and there's really nowhere to hide at all. And for you, you're navigating a lot of stuff in this show. And how do you kind of stay present in those moments? Because you never leave the stage at all. And the time jumps are wild to me.
The time jumps are wild, and when you are not a part of the show and not like looking at the script and following it, I have found myself that it is kind of hard to just like follow along. But ultimately, I'm just there for the ride because I don't leave the stage. I am just kind of reliving what it was that I am like now remembering and trying to draw in this like graphic novel. So it is, it's definitely interesting.
And so you mentioned that Alison is played by at various stages in life by 3 different actresses. What was that kind of like with Tatum Kilberg and Lucy Emerly played the other 2? What was that like to kind of create a through line, because that's such a difficult thing to kind of navigate? Yeah,
so I think because there are time jumps, we're jumping from the mid-70s to 1980 to 2006 as Alison Bechdel is writing this. I knew that we needed to connect those characters visually, and so I did it a lot with costumes, and I think the script really does a great job at like letting us know where we are. The stories do go chronologically, even though we jump between the stories, and so it is like easier to follow than what I think it like could be. I've certainly seen clunkier time jump shows. But yeah, a lot of it was done visually. The actresses that I get to work with are so fabulous too.
They're all 3 great. And like what you couldn't have. Like that trio is amazing.
They
really are. They're really like amazing.
I love the finale.
And I think it's wonderful to see you do something like this, because I think a lot of audiences, especially circa audiences, will know you from more of your lighthearted comedic work. So for you, that must be really cool to kind of dive into something that's has this emotional depth.
It is. I have never done something like this before. I was even telling Emma, our stage manager, I have never done such an emotional show before that just kind of like brings me to tears without having to think about it, thanks to you, because you make me cry every single time. But no, it's not something that I have to like really even tap into anything to try and look like I'm being emotional on stage. I am just weeping. Yeah.
And you know, from a designer standpoint, because you're also the costume designer, did you take a lot of inspiration from the novel itself?
I did. Yeah, I've read the graphic novel probably 6 times at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are a lot of visual cues that I took from there, a lot of Easter eggs that I've hidden. Yeah, in both in the Alison's and Joan's costume, Medium Alison's first girlfriend, is directly from the graphic novel. There are other nods to it. You know, Bruce's glasses, and Alison's glasses, and you know, there are some cues taken and a lot of general inspiration where not exact mimicry happens.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And Sydney, what do you hope people take away from your portrayal of adult Alison? Because I feel like that's a character that a lot of people can probably identify with, especially as some of us are getting older. I don't want to admit that, but
I hope that no matter what the relationship is, whether it be a parent, whether it be a sibling or just a friend or literally anybody you've ever created a relationship with, if there are things that you want to say, if there is like something that you want to say to them, you just might as well say it. Otherwise you're going to be thinking about what you could have said and all the things that you wanted to say in the car that last time that you're together, and just like I would just say it.
Yes, that's a good And Bradley, when the show is all over, what do you hope the audience has time to reflect on as they leave the theater?
Yeah, I hope people get to think about the sort of familial relationships as well as the like self relationships. Those are the dichotomy between self and father are the central 2 theses of Alison's memoir that she wrote, and so I hope that people can reflect on their relationships with their parents, with themselves, and find that perfect balance, as she says at the opening and closing of the show. Find that perfect balance where they're on the same field, even for a moment. Even if you feel like you live in opposites. There are moments of perfect unity.
Well, it's a beautiful show. Thank you so much for letting me be part of it, and you're just a joy to work with. So I think everyone should go see the show. Yes, I'm a little bit biased, but it's a beautiful piece. It's a brilliant piece. So thank you all, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And I'll see you guys tonight.
See you tonight.
Yeah, for more information, you can check out theblackboxtheater.com. We'll have all those details posted at ourquadcities.com.